We're going to remain with the same theme. We're talking about evolution. We're talking about looking ahead 5 years from now. And just to take that thread of conversation one step forward, may I invite on stage a whole host of panelists to give their insight and their thoughts into the subject. So let me start by introducing the long list of faces you're going to see very soon. Gaurav Nag, who's Managing Director at Koovs.com. Mohit Dhanjal, who's Director of Retail at Raymond. Rahul Bhalla, who's co-founder and CEO of Latin Quarters. Rajesh Jain, who's MD and CEO at Lacoste. Rishabh Soni of the SSIPL Group. Sandeep Kulhali of Tanishq Titan. Sanjay Guleria, who's the Director Global Business Development exclusively. Dr. Priya Mary Matthew of the Pearl Academy. And moderating that session is Manav Sethi, who's Marketing Head and Head of Digital Products and Strategy for AskMe.com. Thank you very much to have you all on stage. Before we start the panel discussion, we also have a little bit of a lead presentation, and for that I'd like to invite on stage Sandeep Mukherjee of SAP.
Good afternoon, everybody. So first of all, good afternoon. Thanks for this time. Thanks for joining. As I represent SAP India Private Limited, my whole objective is to talk about how fashion and technology is intertwined with each other, how it's actually going to make a lot of difference in the industry from where you are all from running the business houses, and we are here to help you in your business processes, engaging with the customers. Now, if you see really what's happening today across the world, and of course in India, is the consumers, the customers are technology charged, they are connected over all the social forums, and they are empowered users. Now, having said so, their expectations increases, changes from day to day, and that's what they expect all the fashion brands, to meet their expectations. And that's why it's imperative, it's really important to keep pace with this changing expectation of the customers and to align your technology and your investments towards all the innovations which is happening. Now, if you see this slide, it's a very strong statement, because what we are projecting that by 2020, 35 billion would be only doing online or digital. Now, that's the market we are talking about, which will be addressed by any form of a digital channel, be it mobile or be it handle pervasive device, or be it a social forum. Interestingly, if you see, every third shopping search on Google is actually fashion related, and these are the data which we harness as from in our organization from day to day. And also, every year, there's a 66% of growth of the queries online related to fashion. And it really shows that our empowered consumers in India and across the world, they are embracing the online along with the offline, their conventional offline way of engaging with your brands. Though the interesting thing to understand is that how technology is actually redefining this, how it is redefining the customer engagement, the way the customers today want to engage. Now, this is one of my most favorite topic, because, of course, we do understand our mobile population, we do understand our penetration, in this country also, that we have today, high usage of mobile. We have customers, consumers who have got access to the devices. We're really empowered. Now, what really we, the business houses, want to do about it? Because it throws and poses some challenges to us also. For example, whenever your sales representative at your brand shop meets an empowered customer, you also need to empower your colleagues and your employees with the same kind of technology, so that they can actually come out from behind those tilts and they can actually engage with the customers with the more meaningful discussions. The customers have already done a lot of research. Our statistics says 57% of the customers actually do the research before they are entering your brand shop or getting engaged with your brand anyway. Now, you also have to empower your employees on that. The second is, if you see, the mobile technology invention is bringing a lot of innovations in terms, or which in terms gives a lot of facilities to your customers. And some of the primes might be that in store, customers should be capable of doing a price comparison. Around 44% of the customers worldwide, they start using the mobile. They do showrooming or using the mobile to do this kind of price comparison. Also, it's very interesting to understand that today mobile POS is getting adopted worldwide, and the reason you want to give more and more empowerment to your colleagues, to your store assistants, as well as to your customers. They can actually go and talk about, they can make the payments from inside the store anywhere. The next one which we'll see really emerging in the fashion industry is basically gamification. So since, till the last year, we saw that gamification is happening to talk about the loyal customers. But this year, we will see that the gamification is happening about having the 360-degree view about the products. You are talking about, immediate, all the payment kind of facilities from gamification, and how your customers engage a part of your brand, the purpose of the brand in store. We have some very interesting examples which could be seen worldwide. For example, Hugo Boss, last year during their Christmas sale in UK, Regent Store, they did a blackjack kind of a story using gamification. Now this is again extremely important. What we find is that the players who are actually modifying their store as per the local customer needs, as well as if they are blending their store and their brand with a kind of a theme, they are actually their margin goes up and they can have more customers engagement. For example, Nike has started a concept called Nike Town, which is basically a museum sort of a theme, and when even a local sports hero comes into the store, they basically greet them and recognize their achievements in that particular area. Of course, IoT, we all know about, know about it. Shopper Stop in Mumbai talking about your magic mirrors. Interestingly, even some of the big players, they are trying to track their the products of interest within the store from having the heat sensors. So the heat sensors deployed by them tell that on a particular busy day, which are the aisles, which are the product categories where you have the most of the customers actually going on. So it tells you the pattern that which way your products are liked or disliked by your customers. Now the next topic, very interestingly, we have is that today the customers want to be treated as individual. Till yesterday, they wanted to be treated as customers. Now today, we have the technology, we have the means to have a 360-degree profile of the customers. Interestingly, our statistics say that only 30% of the retailers, they basically use this 360-degree profile to have real-time promotions targeted to an individual. So 70% still understands that it's only a customer. Now, there are ways to do it, whether you collect the data or information from your traditional sources like your, the sales pattern or the purchase pattern, and you combine it with the new sources, for example, social feedback, social shopping, or you want to tap the weather report. People are doing it for different categories, and then your customer can be recognized as an individual. So what happens is that you can actually promote real-time promotions targeted to the needs and the requirements of one particular individual. 60% of the margin can increase, and that's what the data is talking about. Social, we all know. For example, Pinterest, getting the concept of buying pins. You can actually have those kind of pins, buy them, and you can engage those points to buy the products from the site. You already have seen the buy now button or the dash button from the Amazon. And of course, wearables is going to grow in the market. In the Western world of the retail or the fashion retail, 1 out of 6 customers are actually already started using wearables. Case studies, if you ask me honestly, advanced payment methods. You talk about the 360-degree or the 3D insight of your product information. And this year or another 2 years, gamification is also going to be used to educate your own employees. So that's an interesting area to watch out. So the question is, what's happening to the technology? How technology is embracing all these changes? How it's making sure that yes, all these demands of innovations and all these expectations from the customers are actually being met. I know this word is a little bit overused, but the basic fact is that the customers do not understand the channel. The consumers really don't understand channel, they just understand your brand. So it really doesn't matter from where, which channel, which engagement model or engagement, your engagement channel the customers want to engage with with your brand. Now, very interestingly, today it's a world where the customer wants your brand to reach them. They don't want to reach your brand, and that's the basic difference. So for that, you need to have your process agile. You need to have your systems who are backing up your customer engagement channel needs to be connected. As I said in the beginning, today the customer, whenever he visits any channel, whether it's store or whether it's web, online, the customers are looking for more and more contextual information. What is mean is exactly the right product at the right point of time with the right price and targeted for the right customer. That's what we call as contextual experience. In another 1 or 2 years, you will also find a terminology coming up which is called moving from contextual promotion to responsive promotion. And your telecom or mobile will play an important role. And of course, at the end of the day, in order to achieve these, you need to unify all the processes. Be it's an engagement process, a supply chain process, or your loyalty process. You need to unify all the processes. If we do that, I believe then we'll be able to match the expectation of the customers. So with that, I just conclude my presentation and would love to play a small video where we believe that offline and online, how it's converging seamlessly. Thank you.
Miguel. He's interested in a pair of trick skis. Using a simple Hybris app, he retrieves some product details from a QR code and makes a request for customer service the next time he's in store. As Miguel walks into the store, a little piece of magic happens. Thanks to Google Glass, a couple of iBeacons and Hybris, Sarah, the sales assistant, knows that Miguel is in the store and exactly what he's interested in purchasing. We've connected Miguel's Facebook profile to the Hybris in-store app and displayed his profile picture in Sarah's Google Glass. She recognizes him immediately. As they walk over to the skis, Sarah checks Glass for the product highlights. She quickly finds the skis, and with the product content in front of her, she's fully briefed and ready to provide the informed and connected customer service Miguel has come to expect. Let's get the bindings fixed. At payment, Sarah notices Miguel has a pair of headphones in his wish list, and the skis have qualified him for a great promotion. Everyone's happy. In store or at home, it doesn't matter to Hybris because we connect everything. It's the future of commerce now.
Thank you so much. Just a point to mention, this is actually what we are doing today with the technology. So me and my colleagues are out on the booth. Please feel free to reach out to us. We can help and understand your requirements, and we can then go forward. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So we saw a very interesting slide deck from SAP, and I hope you guys also did like the video as well. Let me give you a perspective in terms of what's happening in US as far as the apparel or fashion is concerned. So if Cowen's report is to be trusted, which came out in December 15. What they say is that by 2017, Amazon will be the largest fashion or apparel retailer in the US. I repeat, not online, largest apparel retailer in the US, which means that they would have already surpassed Macy's, Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's of the world. By 2020, the same number is expected to reach at about 60 billion, whereas Macy's is expected to reach about 25 to 26 billion. And the largest growth category in fashion is apparel, watches, footwear, etc. Which brings to the panel here, right? I mean, this can be the best amalgamation of people on the stage because we have Rishabh, who is credited with bringing Nike to India. We have Mohit from Raymond, who has presence across both offline and online. We have Rahul from Latin Quarters. Rahul runs this brand which is into women western wear. We have Rajesh from Lacoste, right? And I mean, Lacoste is no new name here. And we hear that they are already moving from A-class town to B and C-class towns as well, and they are seeing humongous traction as well. We have Sandeep from, Titan. We have Sanjay from Exclusively. And we have Dr. Priya from Pearl. So, India being a country of 1.2 billion plus people, where 2/3 of the country is less than 30 years old. Fashion is one of the common denominator and one of the largest growing categories across online and offline as well. Where do you guys see fashion as a technology-led growth category 1 year from now? I'm carefully choosing 1 year because we all discuss, nobody knows where the industry will be 5 years from now. Maybe we can start with...
Shall I take this question? Yeah, okay. My name is Rajesh Jain. I represent Lacoste. So, Manav, when you talk about technology leading us 1 year from now, I think the writing is already written on the wall. It has to be connected retail. I'm not talking about it as offline versus offline. I'm saying all of them put together, this will become a connected retail where we can reach out to the customers to whom we can otherwise not reach out. For example, a brand like us, which is a niche brand, which is a bridge to luxury brand, we don't open shops everywhere. But we have customers who are not on those places. So we have to be online to reach out to those customers who cannot reach out to us permanently or we cannot reach out to them. Which actually turns out that we will be tapping into that customer base who want our brand. Which automatically means the future is moving towards connected retail and not either offline or online.
So,
Gaurav.
hi, I'm Gaurav from Cooves. Irrespective of time frame, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now, it's really important to start with the consumer. And I think as a consumer, I would really like for the brand to know who I am, what do I like, what looks good on me, and therefore provide that in the best possible experience that's available. And I think that's what the future for fashion and lifestyle will be in the next 5 years. There are a lot of people working on some really great technologies. There are a lot of brands, offline brands, who are trying to bring that same experience online. And I think we'll see a lot more happening in that space in time to come.
Rishabh and I were actually discussing this, favorite anecdote of mine, which I always talk to my investors as well, right? That imagine a guy who wanted to buy a Nike shoe in Shillong and never had option to buy because Nike will not open a store, despite the fact that he had propensity to pay, and like him, there were hundreds of others who had propensity to pay. So you think that technology has created, and okay, so for this discussion, the technology definition is delimited to the platform stroke access rather than your ERP tools and your, technology-led productivity solutions.
So e-commerce is what you're talking about. I think I have a slightly different perspective to the entire thing. I think we are about 1.2 billion of us. A lot of people who've been in the industry for quite a few years. are waiting for consumption to pick up, right? For people to start buying more and more. Now, whether that is bought online or whether that is bought offline, I think each brand is going to figure out their own strategy. I mean, if Amazon, for the numbers that you're talking about, at the end of the day, they're selling products. So I think a lot of us are in the business of trying to sell to consumers. And I don't think necessarily technology or e-commerce is what is really putting money into people's pockets. You know, as your incomes are rising, as per capitas are rising, people are being able to afford. What e-commerce is definitely doing is increasing the reach. And as reach continues to grow, I think you will see brands or specialty retailers come up and set up brick and mortar stores there also. So I think it's not, like Rajesh said, it's not one versus the other. It's really how the overall consumption continues to grow. And everybody will figure out their own strategy of trying to cater to that market.
Sanjay, you and I were, talking outside as to whether Indian online fashion industry will ever see a Xiaomi moment, right? You had this Chinese Xiaomi phone sold in the range of 2 million phones in like 2 to 3 days without opening a single offline outlet. You think something like this will happen?
Yeah, hi everybody. Sanjay Gularia, the co-founder of Exclusively. I think let me paint a bit of context. Looking ahead 5 years, I think we have to look back 5 years. There has been tremendous innovation and change dramatically that has transformed this landscape and globally, e-commerce and retail and otherwise, and omni-channel, to empower consumers. And consumers now have, I think, the winning cards. And that innovation and technological advancement will continue. And I think that's where, to Gaura's point, you really need to engage the consumer. Consumers' habits are changing. The response I had to your question was, Xiaomi gets to do that because consumers' interest in handheld computers, i.e. mobile phones, has now trumped that of other categories. And disposable income is going into that particular category. I think from a fashion standpoint, to be able to create that demand, there has to be some uniqueness, some understanding of consumers' overall appreciation of whatever it is. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you'll get that same bump. The thing that I'm most interested in seeing happen in the next 5 years, when we started Exclusively, we were actually focusing on the NRI consumer who didn't have access to Tarun Talyani, Manish Malhotra, and all the Indian designers and products. And what was astonishing and amazing was we were shipping Tarun Talyani in 100 different countries. And I think that the same is true here when we start to look at where the landscape is in the future. Because tier 2, 3, and 4 cities are still disconnected, the mobile and, of course, e-commerce gives them that access. And I think that's where innovation will continue to go. So I don't know if we'll have a Xiaomi moment. It would be great if we did. But I think platforms that are transformative, that have happened over the last 5 years, will continue to innovate, and we'll see a lot of change.
So I think we have, Mohit from Raymond. And like Raymond has been one of the oldest old economy brands, so as to say, and has also ventured into online space, right? Do you want to talk about or share your experiences in terms of what motivated you to come online and what kind of success you have achieved there?
What I would like to add is, the traditional way of reaching out to the customers was actually going to as close to where the customer was. So in the past, when we wanted to actually reach out, we rolled out stores. So be it in tier 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. Today, I have over 250 stores in tier 4 and 5 towns. However, look at what technology has done. Technology has brought a customer who's, this is all statistics that's available in the public domain. 40% of online business actually happens from semi-urban locations, and it's all from tier 3, 4, and 5 towns. So therefore, as a retailer, now if I have to reach out to my customer, do I actually need to go and set up a brick and mortar store in a small, dusty town? I don't think I need to, because technology has bridged that gap. And therefore, as a retailer, I actually have now options available apart from my traditional distribution channels to look at reaching out to consumers in a faster, in a more cost-effective manner, and thereby actually delivering a huge value. So instead of investing a large money on a brick and mortar store, I actually can get them a product which is as trendy as it is in Bombay to a small town, and maybe at a great value. Yeah, so that's how I'm looking at it. So it's definitely a good one. So what we did is we said that let's move away from channel focus. Rather, let's look at what consumers want and how are they shopping. So consumers are looking at convenience. So whether they are sitting in an office, home, or out in the market, so be it offline, online, or on the mobile, if they want a product, you should be accessible. So therefore, our strategy was very clear. We said that if a consumer wants Raymond, wherever they want it, they should get it. So therefore, we are present with most of the marketplace model retailers online. We also have our own web store, and we also have a brick and mortar store. So irrespective where they want, they should find our product.
So Sandeep, right, from category, namely watches and jewelry, right? You are the only representation here, and we would love to hear from you. You know, where do you see the implication of technology, and has it really impacted your offline strategies as well?
Yeah, thank you. Sandeep here from Titan. You know, as you can notice that I must be a loose cannon here because this jewelry is neither lifestyle nor fashion in typical parlance. So it's a misfit in that sense because jewelry is a very old industry. It's probably the oldest industry sitting in this room. And the point which was shared here on the dais, I think, on technology and access and consumption, I think all relevant topics. But also to do with the Indian social fabric with the category connection. Therefore, the consumption of any category also depends on the socio-economic fabric, and why jewelry has a unique play in the Indian ethos. Because it's the only category which behaves in a particular way in this part of the world. Nowhere else jewelry is bought and used the way jewelry is bought in India. And therefore, just to see some, I saw data of 37 billion, 40 billion. Jewelry industry is $50 billion industry.
Jewelry is only bought and not used in India, right?
Exactly. That's a different story altogether. That's the important point. So it is bulk of this inventory is sitting in lockers and people's houses and banks, stuff like that. But the point is, it's very closely connected to the Indian ethos. And therefore, and behavior to this category is so unique compared to any of the categories on this panel, even outside, that consumers want to buy jewelry very differently. And the same person, when he buys mobiles or apparel or shoes, he behaves very differently in one kind. But come jewelry, they're completely different. They're completely different. The same person, next shop he'll go to jewelry, her whole mind will change into a different model. Whereas with apparel to mobile, she'll have the same style of working. That's to do with the Indian ethos, and therefore I think the industry is there to stay from a long term, unless the social fabric of India changes dramatically, where marriages don't become relevant anymore, or traditional marriages are not a family relationship. Therefore, I think the jewel industry is there to stay for a long time. The role of technology, typically my view on technology, intrusion in India, especially on the e-com platform, has been more driven from top as an opportunity to do business. But because this category and the way the customer buys jewelry is very difficult to implement. And as a matter of fact, we are there only on our own website, titan.co.in. But we have not gone online with jewelry at all. Although we've spoken to 3 or 4 key players who have come to us, they want us on the brand. But the way jewelry is sold, daily gold rate and the making charges, it's impossible to do it in the first place. And 2 is consumers are not looking at online for buying jewelry. So whatever noises you're hearing in the media about online jewelry is typically the guy who's come to make money on the online model, which many people are wanting to make money online. Because many of you may not know that my understanding is no online company makes money till now, including Amazon, are loss-making companies for the last 25 years.
That's a touchy.
I may be wrong there. But that's the information I have. And including people I've met in UK who have run long 14-year-old chains in grocery business are loss-making because the model being what it is. But the category is complicated, and 2 is consumers are using online today more for searches. So today, Tanish is the maximum searched brand on the internet. To more about information, about the brand, about the availability of products. And therefore, online and technology has a critical role to play in jewelry, which is about information, about access. And therefore, I think technology will continue to play a role in the jewelry. And even look at jewelry online outside of India, it's just not there. It's still single digit. And largely, again, it is seen online and bought offline. There's still single-digit jewelry buying offline, online the world over. And India is even worse than that in terms of jewelry buying behavior and the kind of jewel that is bought. It is not very online friendly at all. So therefore, I think in the industry perspective, it is there to stay because Indians love jewelry. I hope continue to love jewelry. And, but it's not very online friendly. So it won't be a big play in the coming years that we see.
Priya, Sandeep did speak about the change in consumer behavior, the social, angle to it, and I guess you had some very clear thoughts about how today's young generation is, looking at online as an option of consumption. Do you want to?
Yeah. See, way back in 1980s when TV boomed into all our households, I remember my grandfather saying that TV has come and now your child will be spoiled. But I was, and you were, all born in a generation of TV. And when we reached teenage, the satellite boom happened. So I deal with millennials, young graduates who are born after 1982. That generation is called millennials. And those born after 2002, that's the alpha generation. They are a VUCA segment. VUCA stands for VUCA. They are volatile. They don't want to attend classes. They want to take class notes in their smartphones. They want the teacher to speak to them through WhatsApp. They are uncertain. They don't know their sexual orientation. They don't know whether they are bisexual or homosexual. They get easily depressed. Fashion for them is a personality statement. They don't go by brands, but if they connect their passion with what you are communicating with them, then they will buy it from you.
So they still buy their lingerie at Zivame and they still search?
Yes. I'll tell you why that happens. Let me just complete C and A. They're complex and they're ambiguous. Because just 2 hours ago, Jatin, my placement head, said Shoppers Stop is ready to take 7 graduates in Bombay, 6 lakhs per annum, and there are 27 graduates who have not got placement. Why are they not applying? So they have their own choices. Why online is clicking with them is, it's purely because what I call is attitudinal segmentation. We have a group of bikers. I myself am a biker. So the only community or the only vocabulary the moment we sit on a bike is adventure, biking, tattoo, and a little relief from the mundane life. But the moment we break away from that tribe, somebody is somebody's son, somebody is an industry, somebody is somebody's daughter, and so on. What I'm trying to say is, it's segmentation needs to go beyond, let me put some theory here, because I am an academician, it needs to go beyond demographics. It has to get into attitudinal. Why online is working is because it allows for browsing, and every browser need not be a buyer. So if I like something, if that product or that information is connecting with me, I'll click buy. And if I want something more experience, I'll go to the store and I'll buy. So the new consumer, the millennials are definitely, like you said, it is not offline versus online. Technology is like oxygen for them.
So you are saying that they are embracing technologies, and because there is a sizable population, looking at India's demography, there is a scalable technology-led commerce businesses which have potential to acquire scale.
Absolutely.
Right?
Recently we were in Himachal Pradesh, Dehradun rather, and these were 600 school students. They all knew what Benetton was or what Tommy Hilfiger was. They wouldn't know the spelling in English, but thanks to satellite, thanks to the smartphone, and what I'm trying to say is there is no economical divide. There is an India, there is a Bharat.
Awesome.
And it is the digital economy which is uniting them all together.
Awesome. Gaurav, you had some remarks to make in terms of people who come from fashion academics or fashion industry, and yet when you look around to take your business from one level to another, you yet don't find very many talent, especially from a fashion standpoint, right?
Absolutely. And, if you look at the two enablers for fashion or lifestyle as a business, for that matter of fact, any business in the context of future, the two enablers are technology and talent. Technology is one that gets talked about the most because there are a lot of people who are already investing to grow that. But if you look at talent, there's a very unique situation that's happening. The unique situation is happening in the context that the guys who are running fashion lifestyle brands today are guys like us, right? In some sense, beyond a certain age group. And if you really look at who's going to be buying fashion lifestyle 5 years from now, that guy's in class 6 right now. He's in class 7. And we're far away from anything that person is using or is leading on to. The other side of the story is the e-com business, if you look at it. These guys are essentially technology guys who are selling fashion online. So I think the perfect spot or the opportunity is the youth of India or the millenniums or the Z, X, Y, Z generation who get fashion, who are born with technology, coming in leading this. And I think that's a massive opportunity area. And I'm not sure if those many people are out there and there is enough infrastructure to build that up right now.
Rahul, Latin quarters, why make apparel only for women? What did men do wrong?
They don't buy. They don't spend the money. No, but just to come back to what our friend from Raymond said, that for us, it's about reaching the consumer. So it really doesn't matter if it's online or offline. I think another very important part, what technology does for us is it helps us influence our offline sale. So we may not be doing that business from a website or from a third-party website, but because of social media, because of blogs, our offline sales have actually gone up. Because consumers can actually see beforehand, they can come to the store, they can try it on, and I think there has to be a good balance between the brand and website. Because the website is, right now in India, unfortunately, it's the discounting word is harming everybody. So based on that, I think from a brand's point of view, we need to embrace technology, not only in the front end, but also in the back end. And coming to your point about the phones, where you said, will India ever have that? I don't think that will happen in the fashion business, because in the fashion business, consumers want to be different. They don't want 2 million people having the same product. In fact, if somebody has a product, they don't want to buy it. So I think technology, when it comes to fashion, you have to really play it carefully. And I think you have to also pay a lot of emphasis on the product itself. I think everybody, even this seminar, and there's too much focus on technology. I think people are actually losing focus on what about the product that they're giving to the consumer? What does the consumer want in terms of fabrics, in terms of fits? I don't think enough people talk about that. So going forward in the next 5 years, with technology, I think brands, retailers, e-commerce websites need to address all those points as well.
In fact, you brought this to my next point, which I wanted to talk about. So we have spoken about technology and platforms, where how platforms have played the role of creating access, enablement, right? Either of you can speak about what challenges beyond the platform, as you rightly said, in terms of your size chart, your touch and feel of the fabric, talking about that particular shirt which was made with certain counts of cotton, etc., etc. Do you guys see, both from a offline standpoint as well as online marketplaces standpoint, that beyond this, these are the next problem areas which technology would help resolve?
See, I think technology, in my view, as a word, it's been overhyped. It's been blown out of proportions. Technology, at the most, is an enabler. It's a means, it's not an end in itself. We, unfortunately, have started considering that technology is the end. If I reach there, if I achieve this, if I implement this solution, technological solution, then I have achieved it, I have achieved nirvana. That's not the case. As far as fashion is concerned, coming back to the same topic, I think there is a paradoxical saying in fashion that the biggest paradox in fashion is that not to look different from others, I have to look different. Then only I can gel with other people. Now, because of that, I have to express myself instead of doing what others are doing. There, everything, including the fabric, the fit, the way it's been done, the styling, all these things matter. I think technology can only assist somebody in helping them choose this thing, but they cannot replace this. Considering this, in my view, technology actually cannot replace the offline thing or the actual touch and feel of a product.
I think per se fashion is a creative business. What do? We take a punt on what's going to sell 6 months from now. And if you're a large athletic brand based out of Germany or some other part of the world, then you're ordering something 10 months in advance, right? I think there is enough out there, data, and we all see it all the time, that can help predict trends and patterns. Some can call it technology, some can call it data, but I think it's important to start leveraging that and therefore use that to make smarter, informed, creative decisions that can help sell better, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, well, I just think it's imperative, and I don't want to, use the word. At the end of the day, it's imperative that everybody embrace technology. I'm sorry, we live in a technologically advanced world. Things are moving at a rapid speed. Brands like Burberry, which are at the top of the food chain in terms of fashion, are now doing direct off the runway. Consumers know what's coming off the runway and they want to buy it. And if we don't enable that as an industry at large, we're losing opportunity and we won't be in business in 5 years. And I think that that's where the opportunity lies, to deeply embrace it as an ethos, as a philosophy within each of our businesses. And I think that fortunately, many companies in the ecosystem are pushing the envelope forward. But ultimately, the consumer wins. Consumer demand is, you can't predict it. In fact, the beautiful opportunities aren't necessarily tribes per se, but individual personalization. And when we get there, each of us is wearing a different outfit, a different look, a different need for today, even though we're all on the same panel. And I think that's where the opportunities lie around personalization.
Correct. And I think going back to the point that technology is not the end, it's a means. Of course, from a technology standpoint, it is the enabler. The underlying business, which has right from choosing the right fabric, choosing the right trend, getting the right merchandiser in, getting the right cuts in, fits, etc. All that has to be in place. That is when technology will take you from a $1 million to $100 million to a $1 billion business. So I don't think that there is any confusion on that, right? Rishabh, why would Nike not come and sell online? We haven't seen Nike embracing online.
Nike does sell online globally. I think about 5 to 7% of their sales are coming in through Nike.com. I think their strategy is not to sell online, is to ensure that the brand is sold in a proper hygienic manner so as not to dilute the brand image. So to that extent, I think what we are seeing currently in the e-commerce space in India is a lot of discounting. And a few of the brands, and Lacoste is one of them, are not very happy to participate in that sort of environment. So as things pan out, like you said, technology is here to stay. You can't fight it. Even people like us are moving into omni-channel. We are looking at that. We're just not typically following the rat race, or Nike's not following the rat race of trying to be on everything in a marketplace model and dilute the brand equity. I think that's where they are coming in from.
So you're saying that if Snapdeals of the world and Flipkarts of the world stop extending discounts and start focusing on the consumer experiences, that's when you think that there is a greater chance of Nike to having trust that. So, and you see that there has been a problem area in terms of the customer experiences which these platforms have been extending. So I'm assuming that.
Well, I think everything has its pros and cons. So, every brand, every business house has to sort of look at it from their own perspective.
Sure.
And that's where Nike's looking at it from.
So I would just like to add that here. So it's not only the discount not being there, it also to offer the same kind of experience to the customer that you offer offline. For a brand like Lacoste, which is a niche brand, which caters to a certain segment of the market, even in offline store, we can't afford to go everywhere. Otherwise, we will lose our exclusivity and the premiumness. So if we go even in offline to only those places which are the right retail premium environment and the adjacencies are also right. So when you say Flipkarts and the Snapdeals of the world, if they go off discount, whether a brand like Nike or a Lacoste would like to go there, I have my own doubts because even in the non-discount environment, the customer will not get the same experience that he would expect. So from a brand like Lacoste and Nike, the customer expect that even online, the experience is very, very nice, very, very premium.
Rajesh, but the contra thesis of the same is that if I walk into any offline store, whether it is a Lacoste showroom or, it's a Levi's showroom or a upmarket, hyper retail format, right? There is no way today that retail store can create a differentiated experience for me, despite the fact that, I'm the same guy who would be spending 300,000 rupees annually on that store versus a guy who would be spending only 3,000 bucks on that store, right? There is no differential treatment. I have to stand in the same queue. They don't know what I have bought historically. They don't, they can't predict any trends that, okay, if I bought this black shirt of this, slim fit, then the chances is that if they have a new, gray shirt in stock, right, why don't you offer it to him? So that lack of experience is more so in terms of offline space rather than in an online store where if you work very closely with the platforms, right? If you share your data to the extent of images, high-res images, your size charts, your cuts, etc., chances of that platform creating more ROI for the same amount spent is a lot more.
For sure. So nobody is saying that e-commerce is not a good channel. E-commerce is a wonderful channel. It allows me to reach out to different customer base and the existing customer base also.
Very happy to hear that.
All I'm saying is that it depends from category to category. The category in which a brand like Lacoste plays, we cater to a niche segment and we can't be everywhere. So hence we will not choose the likes of Flipkart or the Snapdeals of the world, but maybe a Myntra. So what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to put any names here, but the reason why I'm saying that is because you have to offer a customer specific experience, and that experience cannot be given across the channel. Even in offline, I cannot afford to go and open a store, let's say in a tier 3 city.
Yeah.
I have to open in a premium retail environment. So online is a wonderful channel. Even the technology helps us greatly in our offline channel also. When you talk about the customer experience, a customer who is spending 3 lakh rupees a year versus a customer who spends only 3,000 rupees a year, technology comes to our rescue there in terms of the CRM program that we have. We have a wonderful CRM program, and that has been enabled because of technology only. So nobody is going away from technology. Technology is a wonderful tool there.
Awesome.
And I think you will see more and more offline brick and mortar players adopting more technologies to understand their consumers better. I think till now we didn't have the competition or we didn't need to sort of wake up. But as that happens, we'll see more and more people getting.
I'd like to share one experience. So there is this jewelry designer, and she used the technology to get in touch with the blacksmiths and the welders in Jaipur. The designs are hers. Using the technology through her friend, she talks to the skilled people, and using technology, she got the products couriered to America. So there is co-creation happening where consumer, the designer, and the maker of that design is happening. So if we know where the target is moving or what kind of experience is required by the consumer, then you not only gain profits, but you gain a loyal consumer for a very, very long time. The only thing is to spend some time in understanding what is that experience which the consumer wants, and then the technology becomes the enabler for that.
You wanted to say something, Sanjay?
Oh, no. I first wanted to make a joke. Obviously, we have a platform where you can sell happily. We're a luxury platform. We sell all the top Indian designers, and I think the adjacencies are very important to your point, and I think consumers expect it on the one hand. You don't want to see a Puma next to a Tarun Talyani or a Puma next to a Jimmy Choo, so it's very important that you have that separation, and the brands don't want to see it either. I think it's also the onus a bit is on the brand to help educate consumers, especially new brands in India, leveraging digital, leveraging these platforms, leveraging social. There's a lot digital can provide in terms of virtual experience, video, other things to help consumers understand the brand value and to justify the higher price points. Why is it a bridge to luxury brand? Why am I paying more for Rene Lacoste than another shirt?
Awesome. So I think we've come to the end of this discussion. When I started this, Amitabh did come and tell me, you can actually be like Arnab as well, if you are required to moderate it. Thankfully, the August audience and the panel that I've had, there was no need for me to say, don't speak, right? So now it is out for you guys to ask the question. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Manav,
No
we're
questions?
completely out of time.
You can take 2 questions.
We're completely out of time. 10 minutes
One
over.
question.
So
One question.
now I'll be Arnab. But thank
That's
you.
it?
A warm round of applause, please, for
Awesome.
our
Thank you, guys.
panelists. Thank you very much.